There is something happening in your brain right now that has nothing to do with your faith, your worthiness, or how long you have been praying. It is a biological filter, a silent gatekeeper, invisible, automatic, and for years, maybe decades, it has been intercepting every single answer God has tried to send you. Not because you did anything wrong, not because your faith was too small, but because nobody ever told you it was there. And tonight, that changes. You have been praying, consistently, sincerely, on your knees, in your car, in the dark at 3 a.m. when the house is quiet and the weight of everything you are carrying feels too heavy to even name. You have spoken your desires out loud. You have written them down in journals. You have believed, or tried to believe, with everything you had. And still, the silence. Still the same bank account with the same terrifying number. Still the same empty space beside you in bed. Still the same health scare you have been trying to hand over to God for 3 years now. Still the same door that will not open no matter how many times you knock. And somewhere deep inside, in a place you barely whisper even to yourself, a question has started to grow. Is he hearing me? Does he see me? Am I somehow not enough for this answer to finally come? I need you to stop right there. Because that question is not a spiritual failure. It is not doubt. It is not weakness. It is a symptom of something happening inside your own mind that science has only recently been able to name, and that the greatest spiritual teachers of the last century understood long before the scientists ever caught up. You are not being ignored. Your brain is running a program that was written before you even knew you could rewrite it. And tonight, on Healing Love Space, we are going to rewrite it together. Not with more affirmations that feel hollow. Not with more straining and hoping and white-knuckling your faith until your hands shake. With something quieter. Something more precise. Something so simple it will almost feel too easy. And it works while you sleep. But first, I need you to feel something. I need you to sit with the honest weight of this for just a moment, because real healing does not happen in the skipping past. It happens in the sitting with. How long have you been waiting? Not months, years, for most of you watching this right now. You have watched people around you receive things you know you deserve. People with less faith, people who barely pray, people who seem to move through life like every door just swings open for them, while you push and push and push and nothing moves. You have smiled at their good news. You have said congratulations with your mouth while your heart quietly broke. You have cried in your car on the way home and then felt guilty for crying. You have wondered what they know that you do not. You have wondered if God has favorites, and you were afraid to say that out loud because it felt like doubt. But it is not doubt, it is exhaustion, and God knows the difference between doubt and exhaustion. He has always known. If this is sitting somewhere true in your chest right now, if something in these words just touched a place you have been protecting for a long time, I need you to do something small but powerful. Leave one word in the comments below, just one word that describes what you have been carrying. Tired, invisible, forgotten, overlooked, confused, waiting, broken. Just one word, because that word is not weakness, it is honesty, and honesty is where every real shift begins. Leave your word right now. I read every single one. Every single one. Now let me tell you about a man named Dr. Joseph Murphy. Born in Ireland in 1898, trained as a pharmacist, became one of the most quietly revolutionary spiritual teachers of the 20th century. His book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, has sold over 1 million copies and is still changing lives today. But there is one thing he wrote, one specific insight buried in the middle of his work, that most people scan right past. They read it, they nod, they move on, and they miss the most important thing he ever said. Murphy wrote that the subconscious mind does not respond to desire. It responds to feeling, not what you want, not what you ask for, not the eloquence of your prayer or the consistency of your devotion, but what you feel to already be true. Read that again, slowly. Let it land. The subconscious mind does not respond to desire. It responds to feeling. This changes everything. Because most of us, and I include myself in this, because I have been there too, most of us have been praying from a place of lack. We have been sending God a message that says, "I do not have this yet, please give it to me." And our brain, that silent biological gatekeeper, has been faithfully broadcasting that signal out into the world. The signal of not yet, the signal of still waiting, the signal of please, 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 why not yet? And here is the truth that will shift something in you tonight. God cannot deliver an answer on a frequency you are not tuned to receive. The answer is there. It has always been there. But your receiver has been set to the wrong station. This is where neuroscience walks into the room and confirms what the spiritual masters already knew. Scientists studying the brain identified something called the reticular activating system, the RAS. A small but extraordinarily powerful cluster of neurons at the base of your brainstem, no bigger than your little finger, that acts as the brain's filter for reality. Every single second of your life, your brain receives approximately 11 million pieces of information from the world around you. 11 million. And your conscious mind can only process about 40 of them. 40. The RAS decides which 40 you see, which 40 become your lived reality, which 40 God's answers must pass through to reach you. And here is the part that will explain everything you have been confused about. The RAS is not filtering for what is good for you. It is not filtering for what you prayed for. It is filtering for what it already believes is true about your life. It shows you evidence of your existing belief system. It confirms what it already thinks is real. Nothing more, nothing less. So if deep in your subconscious, the layer beneath your prayers, beneath your affirmations, beneath your Sunday morning faith and your Wednesday night Bible study, if deep in that layer there lives a quiet, old, stubborn belief that says people like me do not get that kind of miracle, your RAS will make sure you never see the miracle even when it arrives. The answer will be invisible to you, hidden in plain sight, like a letter written in a language your brain was never trained to read. And I want you to hear this clearly. This is not punishment. This is not God withholding. This is not a test of your endurance or a lesson you are failing to learn. This is biology. And biology, unlike circumstances, unlike other people, unlike the economy, biology can be changed by you tonight. Let me tell you about a woman named Carol. She was 61 years old, living in a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio. She had been praying for financial relief for 6 years. 6 years. Her husband had passed away, her savings were nearly gone, and she had applied for more jobs than she could count or remember. She was a woman of deep faith. Church every Sunday. She tithed what little she had. She prayed every morning before her feet touched the floor and every night before she closed her eyes. And nothing came. Month after month, the same fear. The same numbers, the same silence from heaven. A friend sent her a video about the subconscious mind. Carol almost did not watch it. She was tired of information. She had read the books. She had tried the techniques. She was tired of trying new things that raised her hopes and then left her exactly where she started. But something, she said later she believed it was the Holy Spirit, made her press play. And she heard something that cracked her wide open. The teacher said, "You cannot receive on a frequency you are not broadcasting. If you want God to answer, you have to learn to speak the language of already received." Carol did not fully understand it. But that night, for the first time in 6 years, instead of praying, "God, please send me money," she closed her eyes and did something different. She found the feeling, not the image of money, not the visualization of a bank statement. The feeling. The specific, physical, embodied feeling of relief. The exhale of a woman who no longer has to be afraid. The loosening in her chest. The quiet gratitude of someone who has already received. She held that feeling, just the feeling. For 11 minutes, she did this every single night, for 21 days. 21 nights of planting before she looked for the harvest. In the 4th week, a letter arrived. From a former employer she had worked for briefly in her 40s, a company she had not thought about in 15 years. They had found an unclaimed pension in her name, $14,000. Money that had existed for years, already prepared, already waiting. Invisible to her because her filter was not set to see it. The moment her receiver changed, the answer that was already there became visible. Carol did not create that money with her mind. She did not manifest it out of thin air. God had already prepared it. The answer was already in motion. What changed was her receiver. What changed was her brain's ability to stop blocking the delivery and finally let the answer through. 21 days. That is all it took. 21 nights of 11 minutes. And a door opened that had been there all along. Now I want to show you exactly how to do what Carol did, because this is not mysterious. This is not reserved for special people. This is a practice, a repeatable, learnable, life-changing practice that you can begin tonight. It is called the Feeling Frequency Practice. 11 minutes, every night before sleep. And the reason the timing is not accidental, neuroscience has shown us that the brain enters what is called the hypnagogic state in the moments just before you fall asleep, a borderland between waking and dreaming where the subconscious is completely open, wide open, like a freshly plowed field ready to receive any seed you choose to plant. Your critical, doubting, analyzing conscious mind steps back, and your subconscious, the part that runs your RS, the part that sets your receiver frequency, is completely available. Joseph Murphy knew this. He built his entire teaching practice around this window. Neville Goddard, one of the most profound spiritual thinkers of the 20th century, called it the state akin to sleep. He taught that it was the single most powerful moment of every human day. And most people, almost all people, waste it. They fall asleep reviewing everything that went wrong. They scroll their phones until their eyes close. They lie in the dark and let their fears play like a film on the backs of their eyelids. They plant seeds of worry in the most fertile soil of the entire day. You are going to do something different, starting tonight, and you are going to do it for 21 days. Not because 21 is a magic number, though neuroscience does tell us it takes approximately 21 days of consistent repetition to begin forming a new neural pathway, to begin genuinely rewiring the brain's filter. You are going to do it for 21 days because you have already waited years. 21 days is nothing. 21 days is the least you can give to something that could change everything. Here is exactly what you do. When you lie down tonight and the room goes dark and the world goes quiet, place one hand on your heart. Take 3 slow breaths, not forced, not dramatic, just long and releasing, like you were setting something down that was heavy. And then close your eyes and do not picture what you want. Do not visualize images or movies or scenes. Instead, find the feeling of already received. If you are praying for healing, find the feeling of a body that is well. Not trying to get well, not hoping to be well, already well. The specific feeling of waking up and not having your first thought be about pain, the feeling of walking without that weight, the feeling of freedom in your chest when you breathe. If you are praying for financial peace, find the feeling of stability, not wealth, just safety. The exhale of a person who opens their banking app and is not afraid of what they will see. The quiet, solid feeling of enough. If you are praying for a restored relationship, find the feeling of that relationship already healed, the warmth of it, the ease of it, the ordinary miracle of sitting across from someone you love and feeling the distance gone. Find the feeling, hold the feeling, not the picture, the feeling. Stay with it for 11 minutes. If your mind wanders to your worries, and it will, especially in the beginning, gently without judgment, return to the feeling. Every single time you return, you are doing the work. You are laying down a new neural pathway. You are recalibrating your RS. You are retuning your receiver to the frequency of already answered. Do this for 21 nights. 21. Write it on a piece of paper and put it by your bed. Night 1, night 2, night 3. Mark each one, because each night is a layer. Each night is a thread in a new neural fabric. By night 7, something will feel different. By night 14, something outside of you may begin to shift. By night 21, you will not be the same person who started, and neither will your circumstances. 21 nights, 11 minutes, starting tonight. That is the only instruction. If something in your chest just opened, if your breathing just changed, if you feel something loosening that has been tight for a very long time, please hit the like button right now. It is a small act, but it tells me this work matters. It tells me to keep making it for you. And I genuinely believe, that small acts of alignment send signals far beyond what we can see. Now let me give you 2 more stories, because I want you to see that this is not a single coincidence. This is a pattern. A repeatable, reliable pattern that works across different lives, different prayers, different circumstances. A retired school teacher in Birmingham, England, 63 years old, widowed. She had been praying for her estranged son to come back into her life for 8 years. 8 years of silence between them. A wound so old it had almost stopped hurting, except it never really stopped. She could not tell you what started the rift anymore. She only knew the silence. She began the feeling frequency practice, not praying desperately for reconciliation, not pleading for her son to change, but feeling the feeling of a morning when her son would call. The warmth of hearing his voice, the absolute ordinary miracle of it. She stopped praying from grief and started feeling from love. Shifted the frequency from desperate to received. 6 weeks later, her son sent a text message. 1 sentence. "Mum, I have been thinking about you." That text became a phone call. That phone call became a visit. That visit became something she said she did not have words for yet, only that it felt like a door had always been there, and she had finally stopped knocking on the wrong side of it. 21 days, changed 8 years of silence. Think about that. A 57-year-old man in Johannesburg, South Africa. A former engineer who had lost his business during the pandemic and spent 2 years in a depression so deep he had almost stopped praying entirely. He said his prayers felt like dropping coins into a well he could not hear the bottom of. He started the practice, not for money, not for his business back, just for the feeling of peace. Just peace. The simple feeling of waking up and not having the first emotion be dread. Within 2 months, he had been contacted by a former colleague with a consulting opportunity. Within 6 months, he had more work than he had before the pandemic. But here is the thing he told me that I've never forgotten. He said the work was almost secondary. What changed first was his face. His wife noticed it before he did. She said one morning over breakfast, quietly, almost to herself, "You look like yourself again. You look like yourself again." That is what happens when your receiver is repaired. When the block is removed. When God's signal finally gets through. You do not just receive the thing you prayed for. You receive yourself back. And sometimes that is the greater miracle. I want to speak to something even deeper now, because I know some of you are carrying a secret shame around your unanswered prayers. A quiet internal voice that says, maybe I did not pray correctly. Maybe I did not believe enough. Maybe I have some sin or flaw that is blocking my blessing, and I am not even aware of what it is. I want you to release that voice tonight, not suppress it, release it. Because that voice is not God speaking. That voice is a wound speaking. Wounds speak in the language of self-blame because they have no other vocabulary. God is not withholding your miracle as a spiritual lesson. God is not waiting for you to suffer enough to qualify. The waiting has not been punishment. It has been a frequency mismatch. And now, tonight, you know exactly how to fix it. Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It in 1925, a woman who was a century ahead of every conversation we are having right now, said something I want to plant in you like a seed tonight. She said, "The invisible forces are ever working for man who is always pulling the strings himself, though he does not know it. Ever working for you, right now, already in motion. The strings already being pulled by forces you cannot see and have never been able to control. God has not been absent from your story. Not for one chapter, not for one verse. He has been working in the invisible, preparing what you cannot yet see. And your job, your only job tonight, is not to pray harder. It is to open the channel, to remove the biological block, to feel, really feel, the answer already given, to speak the language of already received so that what has always been prepared for you can finally find its way through. So here is your action step for tonight. And I am asking you to treat it as sacred, not as homework, not as another technique to try and abandon, as a sacred act of cooperation with what God has already set in motion on your behalf. Tonight, when you lie down and the room goes dark, place one hand on your heart. Take 3 releasing breaths. Close your eyes. Find one feeling, just one, the specific physical feeling of one prayer already answered. Not the image, the feeling. Hold it for 11 minutes. If you fall asleep inside that feeling, that is exactly right. That is the goal. Your subconscious will carry it through the night like a gardener tending a seed in the dark. Do it again tomorrow night, and the night after that. Mark each night. Honor each night, because this is not a casual experiment. This is 21 nights of rewiring, 21 nights of retuning, 21 nights of cooperating with an answer that is already on its way to you. By night 7, something will feel different inside you. By night 14, watch the world around you. By night 21, you will understand why I am asking you to trust this. You will feel it before you can explain it. And then one day, like Carol with her letter, like the teacher with her son's text message, like the engineer whose wife looked across the breakfast table and saw him come back to life, one day something will arrive, and you will know. You will know it was always there. You were simply learning to receive it. Something is already shifting for you, right now, in this exact moment. Something is different than it was before you pressed play on this video. Your subconscious has absorbed every word. It does not miss a syllable, and it is already beginning to reorganize itself around this new truth, around the frequency of already answered, around the signal of already received. Do not let this be just another video you watched and scrolled past. This one is different. You felt it from the first minute. You feel it right now. Honor that feeling. It is not an accident. It is not random. You did not find this video. This video found you because something in you was finally ready to receive it. And if you are new here, if this is the first time you have found Healing Love Space and it felt like it was made for you, like I somehow knew exactly what you needed to hear tonight, welcome. Truly, welcome. This channel exists for souls exactly like yours. Souls mature enough to know that positive thinking alone is never enough, and faithful enough to believe that something real is still possible for them. Click subscribe. Turn on your notification bell. Walk this path with us. We go deep here. We go real here. And we go together. You found this channel for a reason. And that reason is only just beginning to unfold. Share this with one person tonight. One person in your life who has been waiting too long, praying too long, carrying far too much alone. Send it to them without a long explanation. Just send it. Let it find them the way it found you. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is simply passing the light forward. 21 nights, 11 minutes, starting tonight. God is not ignoring you. He never was. Not once. Not for a single moment of your waiting. Your brain was simply blocking the delivery. And now you know exactly where the block is. And now you know exactly how to remove it. The answer is already there. It has always been there. Now open the door, and this time, stay open.